Hi there, guys. So today we have a story from The Guardian about carers allowance and the DWP. So in this article, we're talking about a particular family, so Nicola Green and her son. But the wider point is that the DWP are currently making it extremely difficult for people who are in receipt of carers allowance, and they are trying to claw back significant amounts of overpayments that have been made. So let's have a read. So, the mother of a teenager with cerebral palsy has demanded an end to the sickening harassment of unpaid carers after a significant legal victory against the government. Nicola Green was pursued by the Department for Work and Pensions for more than a year after she was accused of fraudulently claiming nearly £3,000 in carers allowance. The part-time college worker, whose 17-year-old son has a number of health conditions, appealed against the fine before a tribunal judge who quashed it in barely 30 minutes last month. And this is crazy. When Green insisted she was innocent, the DWP wrote to her employer without her knowledge to try to recoup the sum from her pay. That's ridiculous. So let's look at the wider issues. So the DWP has faced widespread criticism over its cruel and nonsensical punishment of family carers who unwittingly earn slightly more than the weekly limit to qualify for carers allowance, which rose to a very modest £196 a week in April. The controversial cliff edge rule means that a carer who earns £1 more than the weekly threshold of £196 a week must repay the whole of that week's carer's allowance, which is currently £83.30 a week. That means someone who earns £1 a week over the limit for a year must repay not £52, but £4,331. And a Guardian analysis has found a sharp increase in the number of cases being quashed by judges in recent years as concern over the DWP's actions have grown. In the year to April 2025, tribunal judges struck out 42% of carers allowance fines compared with 29% in 2019 and just 15% in 2014. And the DWP has lost nearly 900 cases at tribunal in the last 6 years. And then going back to Green and her son, Green works less than 14 hours a week at Bolton College, and she was reduced to tears by the DWP's pursuit. She juggles her term time only job with caring for her teenage son, who she didn't wish to name. He has cerebral palsy, is deaf, and has short bowel syndrome. Yeah, and she said they don't care about you, they don't care about your personal situation, they don't care what you've been through. Yeah, that's obvious, isn't it? And again, this is crazy. The DWP claimed Green had breached the earnings rules on 7 occasions between December 2018 and April 2024. 5 of these related to a one-off Christmas holiday bonus from her employer, and 1 was due to unexpectedly receiving sick pay. The final overpayment related to a pay increase awarded to all Bolton College employees. So you can't believe you've got a system there that is so ludicrous that it cannot manage that if someone gets a Christmas bonus. Absolutely ridiculous. So what does this story tell us about Britain in 2025 then? Well, I think first and foremost it says that the administrative state in this country is unbelievably cruel, and that its sole purpose is not on meeting need, of individuals or families, but simply on restricting access to whatever benefit it is, and then providing efficiencies and savings within the welfare budget. These faceless organisations, they sort of seem to work from a starting point that says anybody who needs any form of social security is scrounging or is a drain on the country's resources. And then they organise the administrative system around that principle. And obviously you think, this particular example also brings to mind the Horizon post office scandal or the Windrush scandal. A faceless organisation falling in behind their official line and absolutely refusing to listen to the little people raising concerns. And then talking more broadly, this is further evidence that this is a feature that's built into the system that we've developed. And it's the basis for a delivery of all services under neoliberalism. You restrict access, you make cuts wherever possible, and you focus only on the bottom line. You don't look at need at all. So for another example, look at the government's current plans for cutting eligibility criteria for PIP. The policy seems to be just simply to reduce the number of people claiming PIP, but those people's needs haven't gone away. If anything, without support, they're more likely to fall into poverty and then any problems that they do have are more likely to be exacerbated by having their benefits cut. Inadvertently, that's going to increase the likelihood that they will then need more acute and more expensive services in the future. So it's a false economy, and it's really frustrating to see a Labour government particularly, but governments of any stripe in this country making the same mistakes over and over again, just kicking the can down the road. Unfortunately, we're a year in and this government's already proven that they're just going to be about business as usual. But, we as individuals, as families, as people who use these services, we need to stand up in whatever way we can to demand something better than this. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.